Damn it. What's up, crypto world? How y'all doing today? It is September 26, 2018, good old hump day. And I am Z-Rex with No Noise Research. And we're gonna chat about some markets. And mostly price actions and charts. Used to do a little bit more news when I first started doing these. I switched it up and it's like, man, I'm gonna focus a little bit more on TA. That's something I like to do and I'm better at anyway. Reading the news is kind of like, bleh. But I do start off with just quick little news snippets. And I appreciate feedback. If anybody ever would like to give some, please do. Any and all is encouraged. So on to some quick news things. I used to actually, on that note, I used to actually go in and show the articles. There's too many damn YouTubers that do that crap. There's not enough of them that do what I consider to be objective TA. But anyway, some interesting headlines I came across today were XMR had a little bug in it. That's Monero, if you didn't know. I thought that was kind of wild. It was apparently one that had been around for a long time. They called it a burn bug. I don't know, I'm not a super technical guy when it comes to coding and such, but yeah, apparently it was enough for Bittrex, Polo, and Cryptopia to delist it and not trade, or at least not trade it for a little bit, so that's interesting. But it's already fixed and everything, not a big deal. You know how news likes to do it. That's also why I kind of don't like to talk about it that much. Fedex and Honeywell joined Hyperledger, which is, I think that spawned out of IBM, but the Linux Foundation runs that, I believe, which is pretty cool. No, I don't think there's a Hyperledger coin, if you were wondering. Bitmain has filed its IPO. Oh man, I wonder how much they're going to raise. This is going to be kind of interesting to watch, as it will probably, I think it's going to be like the first real company in the Bitcoin space that's getting listed on an exchange. I guess, you know, some people might throw Galaxy Digital at me or some other these like hedge funds or crap like that, but I'm talking like you actually make something and produce things, not just manage money. That's kind of different. Another thing I encourage you to go check out, I thought this was really cool because I'd never heard about it. Something called Red Belly. Some Australians and team with a university down there and their National Science Center used AWS to get a blockchain going with 30,000 transactions per second using all AWS. Pretty wild. One of my friends actually brought this up to me about a month ago. He's like, I'm super bullish. I was like, what's your favorite kind of coins right now? He's like, Amazon. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, dude, Amazon all the way. Because he just kind of boils down to, you know, everything can be done via Amazon, which I guess Red Belly is proving us. Like I said, I just stumbled on that today. I'm going to research it some more because that's pretty intriguing. 30,000 transactions a second, by the way, like dwarfs Visa. I believe it's like a whole order of magnitude higher, so that's pretty damn insane. All right, enough of that. Oh, let's see, what is that, Bug and Monero? Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't like that Bittrex took it off. That's, you know, they're pretty strict with stuff. I mean, they have a lot of crap on there, but what's cool about Trex is they'll let crap be on there just as long as your code works good. So that is interesting, but maybe it's just some Monero FUD. Yeah, I don't know, that sucks, because I have Monero. You know, I'm not going to let this, you know, I'm not going to sell it because of this news, but yeah, it definitely kind of makes me like, ooh, that sucks. Definitely not one of my top holdings either, so I'm not too concerned. Alright, let me share the screen and get it in. Go to the markets. My favorite part, price action. Alright, so we've got kind of the market cap's about the same, not too big of a difference. We're kind of here floating around in the teens, and you know, which is, it's a little bit higher than yesterday, which is nice. We had a decent little pop. I'm sure y'all saw it. If y'all watch charts like I do in price, it's probably too much. I know, I'm trying to like not watch it as much and like hang out with friends and go do things, but man, it's hard with all these apps and shit. It's like, damn. But anyway, Bitcoin dominance still above 50%, percent. I expect that to remain above 50 until this market turns around. I've discussed that a whole lot in other videos. I do timestamp all of them, so you can go check them out and only watch what you find interesting. That's fine. I love timestamps on videos. That's why I man, I gotta do that. But anyway, I digress. I do think that, general sense, Bitcoin is mama bear. It's going to have to start rallying to even get everybody else going again. So why not put your money and most of it there? So that makes sense. I think big money's also seeing that pattern too. So that's just kind of the really short version of what I talk about with that. But yeah, so this is good as long as we're staying above 200. I really would like to see this get above 225 soon and hold it. I mean, this doesn't count really as getting over it. I mean, you're like right at it. Yeah, of course, right here it did a little bit, but whatever. Sustainably over it, let's say for a week or two. It's kind of what I'm looking for. But yeah, so not really any big change there. Let's go to price directly. Check out the daily. I don't think we had... I'm sure I would have heard about it somewhere, but I didn't recall any kind of ETF crap. We're still just going sideways. Nothing too awesome about that, or exciting. It's not either of those things ever. It's funny. Who cares about... I kind of on the boat of who cares about the ETF and governments, period, when you're talking about kind of cryptocurrency stuff. I mean, isn't that the reason most people praise it and like it? I don't know. It just kind of seems almost hypocritical to me. And all these countries using it as a... whatchamacallit, a circumvention tool for, against sanctions. And that keeps happening. I mean, that's pretty cool. What, ETF? We'll put an ETF on the blockchain. How about that? All right, so price action isn't really that much different from yesterday. We're only, within $100. We had a little nice pump earlier this morning, but that fizzled out pretty fast, and that came up to your purple exponential here, which is the 144, and that's on a 4-hour chart too. Oh, let's go to big screen, actually give us some more real estate. Boom. Yeah, so back to the daily real fast. Getting rejected. Also, look at that 21 exponential is right where we got dinged from, right here, if y'all can see that. Yeah, so not the best thing to see. We definitely want price over that. The 21 exponential I talk about all the time. People are probably like, God, dude, get over it. It's the 21. But it's nice. It's a good basic metric. That with the 55 exponential is, if you're new in TA, just kind of start with that. It's good. And then add one indicator at a time, because, man, you see these guys' charts and you're like, dude, you can't even see price on that thing. Like, what the hell? Like, what are you even doing? It's like, what? They put all these... That one that's real funny to me is the big circle Fibonacci kind of crazy thing. I don't even know the hell that thing means. Hey, it might be really good. I just don't know anything about it. It's too noisy for me. Alright, anyway, we had a nice little dip here, kind of selling off in this recent... Let's go to the 1 hour, go ahead and chop it down. So it kind of was getting bullish here. As you can see, we talk about the DMI all the time, being up in this power zone, which is above, like, the mid-20s. TA is an art, not a science. You do also have to adapt it to your style as well, so do remember that. Everybody's personality profiles are slightly different, so that does affect you in trading like a lot, like a whole lot. So that's why, to me, trading is like therapy. It'll teach you when you're wrong real quick, or you just quit trading, right? And you're like, oh, screw this, bro. Yeah, don't do that. You can keep trading. Just stay disciplined. You can do it, man. Anyway, 618 retracement off these bodies is where we're tagging, roughly, which is about 6,400. We are underneath, though, the 21 and 55, and it looks like we got back neutral on the 1 hour DMI and also the RSI, because we're right here on the 50. Oh, awesome, David. Well, I really much appreciate that. Yeah, please check out the replay. And again, I haven't timestamped yesterday's, but I usually will catch up in the next day or two, depending on what I got going on. But yeah, awesome. Thanks for tuning in. Much love, and hope to see you soon, man. All right, back to this price action. Let's see. We're going here kind of sideways. Lost my train of thought. That's okay. I'll catch it. Oh, there it is. Bam. So we're kind of almost bearish here, but it is getting... It's like battling right at that bearish, like mid-20s level. So I'm not getting too excited about bears being super strong here yet. Let's see. They are starting to get a little weak on the 4-hour, especially if we close anywhere below 6,500. That means this is going to print below into the weak zone, and we are below 50 on the RSI, so that might be the only concerning thing on a little bit higher time frame. And we keep kind of getting rejected by this general area of these stacked EMAs. So it does look like there's a shit ton of resistance here at 6,600. Which we already know, price is gone. That's been a magnet for a long time. If we just like zoom out here a little bit and I hold my cursor right at the 6,600 level, I mean, you can see how many times price has pinged against that on both support and resistance alike. So definitely lots of business there. If you pulled up a volume profile chart, it would probably show you that there is a big volume node there. Anyway, yeah, so I'm not really liking the last few hours of price action looking at this. I've been kind of busy today, and I just kind of sat down and was like, you know, I'm going to look at the charts and do analysis all at the same time. But yeah, now that I'm kind of looking at this, I saw them earlier this morning around here. But yeah, they pretty much sold off the rest of this day. That is slightly concerning, especially when you have... Well, we got neutral at least on the higher time frames, though, so that is okay. But on the hourly, we are starting to show a little bit of weakness. My line in the sand right now, I do have a long position on right currently, and my line in the sand right now is the bottom of this business done here, which call it about 6,350. That coincides with lots of business done right here before this rally, and maybe this is just a little liquidation break, but that's what I'm kind of playing for. Doesn't come through. It's all good. Might have should have managed that earlier, but I was away from my computer. That sucks when that happens, doesn't it? No worries. All right, so Bitcoin again, not very different, man. Just kind of the same, same shit. Looking a little bit more neutral. I guess that might be the only on the lower time frames. That is. That's like kind of the only difference. All right, let's go see if Ethereum is showing us anything cool. It has been the leader of the pack lately. Definitely forming a decent little channel there. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this trade setup idea that we put back over here. You can go check that video from the 18th, and I talk about it and how we use this tool as a visual aid too, to help you, like, you know, maybe not get greedy when you see it inside of the box that you created. You know, it kind of helps. You got to trick your brain a little bit. So I'm just gonna erase that, but go watch that video. This is still in play totally, but I just want to clean up the chart a little bit. All right, so here we are. We got a channel that's forming for sure right about here. You got it kind of going like that. Looking at this right now, it's looking a little weak too. Not a super fan of that price action. Bears came in pretty strong, but they have fizzled out. They are back to neutral on the 4 hours, so there is some good news for bulls. And they are getting a little bit rejected at the power zone. They are real damn close to getting into it, though. Yeah, so I think that if we break that 180 level, man, it's not going to look great. And, you know, I'm sure people are already drawing it on here. Two different ways. I'm going to make a joke here. Look, it's a head and shoulders, dude. It's inverted head and shoulders, totally. See? Right there. I'm calling it. No, I'm not really. I'm just totally joking. Everybody prematurely draws head and shoulders patterns, like, all the time. It's really funny. There almost does look like a little mini one in here. Speaking of prematurely drawing them, you know, maybe I don't know. I'm not a big pattern guy. I know people like to talk about them, and I'm just giving some insight. I don't really use patterns that much. I almost really just use these moving averages, DMI, and price action. I like to keep it real simple. I read news, but for fun. I don't trade based off of it. I think news is a total joke. They flip-flop like a mofo. And we talk. If you watch some of my earlier episodes, I even like. You can probably kind of hear the disdain in my show, and I'm like doing the news, and they flip one day, and then the next day they flop, and then the next day they flip back again. I mean, it's almost. I mean, when I stopped watching and reading news, okay, let me say, when I cut it back by like 95%, my trading performance went up substantially. And I don't think people, when you first get into this game, like no one tells you, like everyone thinks you have to like watch the news, read the news, that's how you get the advantage. But news is always late to the party. It's a laggard. Usually news is applied to price as the reason. Like, oh, see, because we as people, psychologically, we like need a reason for something to happen, especially if you have a bag. It's like, oh no, see, the rally went up. It's like, oh, it's because of this. Well, maybe it's not. Maybe it's just because there's more buyers than sellers. Just think of it like that. It's all that matters. It doesn't matter why there's more buyers than sellers. There just is. It's irrelevant, the reason. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, and it probably goes against a lot of things that you have read or hung out. You know, maybe some people do trade on the news. Like, I guess there is exceptions to all rules, right? Like biotech strikes me first off the top of my head. You know, you wait on that FDA approval, if it's going to come out or not, on phase 1, 2, or 3, whichever one it is, and like those will move the markets really big. But still, the fundamental reason that is because there's more buyers than sellers, and most things don't trade off of like outlier news like that. So, all right. Anyway, I digress about that, but I think that's important to know. Let's see here. I believe that this looks like a bear flag on a 4-hour, and that's one pattern that I do kind of like, is just flags in general. Yeah, you got this kind of flag forming right here. If that breaks, then we definitely have a target of testing back to these lows. So you definitely don't want to see that here, guys. This rally needs to start getting some legs. I would say, what's today? Hump day. Man, I would really like to see it by this weekend for sure. Really, in the next couple days. Falling out from here would not be a very pretty sight. Let's check it out on the hourly. So again, neutral on the daily, neutral on the 4-hour. How about the 3-day, just out of curiosity? Bearish on the 3-day. Although you've got some pretty... Nope, not yet. You don't have divergence even on the 3-day yet. That's interesting. Anyway, hourly, neutral. So we're very, very neutral here. We have a lot of stacked up moving averages on lots of the coins. So I think getting price over all these recent places where we broke down from and kind of consolidated is kind of the crux here, which is coinciding with the hourly. It looks like longest moving term average I use, which is a 377. Let's go to Litecoin and see if it's kind of the same. Okay, Litecoin, as we've discussed, has been showing a little bit of more strength than especially Ethereum. Let's just double check that. There's Ethereum, and let's check the BTC. Yeah, see, most stuff is under the top 3. Most known, not by market cap, that is. Let's see, is over it. How about XRP, since if we want to talk about the top market cap ones, you know. So XRP, of course, has had awesome strength, as you can very much see. Oh gosh, they tricked me again. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's back up to Litecoin. So you got Litecoin here playing almost perfect in this channel. If you watch the video from yesterday, we did a short right here and stopping out at the midpoint of the channel, and it ended up coming in one day. We were just targeting this range right here in this real flat red moving average. And yeah, it literally came in one day. Please go check those videos out. Again, I do timestamp them. You can watch, you know, just that 3 minutes of video if you'd like to see that. But yeah, so we're getting all these kind of fake outs as I talk about in this power zone, and the hourly is good to watch it right now while price kind of just goes sideways. And I mean sideways like on a longer term time frame, right? Like if we look at on a daily, we've been kind of chopping around here in this range. But anyway, yeah, so now bears are starting to get a little bit of control here on Litecoin, just ever so slightly. You know, they did right here too, and then got snapped real hard. About a nice little, what is that? Dang, that's almost like a, what is that? 8% pop, pretty good. But yeah, if we can hold this red exponential in the hourly in the lower parts of these bodies, about 57 bucks, 56 and a half. That's probably a good risk to reward trade if you are bullish on this general market. Again, I think we do have that stupid ETF crap news coming out at some point this week. So, I mean, we had Fed Day today, so they probably wanted to wait until after that. If you don't know what Fed Day is, where they have the FOMC meetings, where they decide if they're going to hike rates and monetary policy, which they did hike rates today, if you didn't know that. We'll talk about equities here in a bit. All right. So let's go ahead and move on, because Litecoin, you know what, guys? Let's put that trade on. Risk to reward, we're going to stop it out right about, let's say, get in right here-ish, and then we'll stop out at the wicks to give us a little extra room. And let's target just right underneath the channel, kind of where this business is done. And that sets us up with a nice 3.7 risk to reward ratio, which I always aim for close to 3 as a minimum. Sometimes I will take lower, but 2 to 1 minimum is kind of my gig. And you just stop out if you go down here. So you're only risking 1.5%, 2% for about a 5 to 7% move. So, all right, let's go to the ripples, because it had a nice little pop today. We talked about that yesterday, that it looked pretty strong as long as it held, you know, that mid 40 area. There's lots of support there. Oh, excuse me. And as you can see here, it definitely did pop very nicely off of this. That was great. This would have been a real good trade. We talked about possibly putting one of those on and getting long here. And here's the alert for the bottom side, is what I have it at, is about 42.50. And yeah, we just went sideways right on top of this 55 exponential on the 4 hour, and then immediately popped over the 21. All right, so what this is telling me is that price action on Ripple is still pretty damn strong. And even if you use this wick to pull a fib retracement, we just tagged the 3.8, so that is a very important one. The 3.8 and the 6.1 are probably the most important ones. 0.5 is actually not even a Fibonacci number, if you didn't know. What's funny though, if you look on the chart, I just saw this, the halfback is what I call it, at 0.5 is actually a Fibonacci number though, 0.618. So that's kind of hilarious. But anyway, yeah, halfback is cool. I like halfback, but my favorite is the 618 and then 3.8 and then halfback. So we are tagging that right now. But based off just price alone, if this can stay above both the 55 and the 21, Ripple's looking pretty good here, actually. The only thing you need to worry about is this possibly being a last little pump to trick everybody so they can make liquidity up here to dump on your ass. So that's one thing that you do need to be a little bit cautious of. But again, if you look at here on the daily, wow, okay, zooming out to the daily, I like it a little bit more. You have the body of this candle closing, sold off, came back up over the longest term moving average. That is a pretty good sign. So, yeah, wow, this is, I am liking Ripple. I'm going to keep my stop the same here. If you wanted maybe to engage a trade, if you're kind of looking that way. Let's see on the hourly. The 6-1, oh guys, look at that. See, Fibonacci is just some like magical shit. It's in nature, it's everywhere. Pulling fibs from this move, it literally tapped the 618 at 50 cents roughly and bounced right back up. But look where it is finding resistance, that another important number, 3.8. So if we can get over 53 cents on a 4-hour, I'll probably take a long Ripple position. Let's see, and just to run through it real quick off the internals: bullish on the daily, bullish on the 4-hour, neutral on the 1-hour, and bullish on the 850. So mostly bullish in the time frames. Oh, let's get rid of this. We don't need that. All right, EOS is where we're going. Mr. Larimer. This is kind of our little range box here, but that's obvious. We don't need to put that on there. Still neutral on the daily, finding resistance again here at the longest term moving average. Not a surprise by any means. And now it looks like we might be getting the resistance here at the 55, which is about 590. So below 590 is bearish, and I'm not going to get bearish on EOS until it breaks like 460. And we've been talking about that for literally the past month of scooping up 460 to 480 for long positions. And whether you flip those or not, if you're a hodler, trader, investor, whatever terminology that you want to use, I kind of consider everybody a trader. It's just, are you making a long-term trade or a shorter-term trade? It's based on that time frame of the expectation. That's the only difference. Now, whether if I'm splitting hairs or other people are, we could debate that for 10 of these YouTube videos. But we're not going to do that. This is a price action video and show. So here you go. Bouncing to and closing. The daily is closed, I believe. Let me look. Yep, it just closed 40 minutes ago, right when I was getting ready to start the show. So this daily is... Or no, it's not closed. I'm sorry. It closes in 20 minutes. So it looks like it's about to close above this channel still and above the 21 exponential if we just float around here. That is a really good sign, y'all. This is perfect for breakouts in a channel. You want them to break out, come back and test the line somewhere. And then this is actually the safer buy zone for a long. And then when it bounces up, you know, past this, then you have extra confirmation. But right here, your risk to reward is a lot better because they know, like, everybody's watching the same movie, so they know that when this breaks out, and plus, look, you're also coming up on the big boy resistance, which is why I make that line red. You're coming up on the big boy resistance too. While you break out of this, you know, this is going to get sold off just for a liquidation break at minimum, and that's like a 90% chance. And when it does come back to test, this price in the market's confirming this breakout. If it can do this and follow through in the next week, then this is confirmed, and this is going to look real nice. All right, and I bet you this is close to 618 action too. On this candle here. Yep. So you got 618 on the tail of that one, and then you go to the 78 on this tail. But more notably, not the wicks, but the bodies are closing above the 618, which is also coinciding with this trend line. So I'm pretty damn bullish, especially above $5 to 520. Let's call it 520. I'm extra bullish above 520 on EOS. And on the daily, we're neutral. On the 4-hour, we're neutral. On the 1-hour, we are bullish. And we've got multiple EMA crosses. I did not notice that before. If y'all can see this here, we have the cross on the second to longest term, the 144, which is that purple one that was just highlighted. And then we're now having these cross back over them after dipping briefly on this nice little sell-off we had a few days ago. After dipping briefly, now they're getting back over. Now all the moving averages are above the longest term on the hourly. So that's further confirming kind of what the price action here is telling us on the daily. So that's cool that you're getting confirmation on other time frames. That's a good sign. 850 is still neutral though. And for the overhead resistance, let's call it pretty hardcore at 580 is going to be pretty tough. So maybe that'll be our new range. But yeah, this is looking like a great chart. I am probably going to take a decent long with this one. I haven't played EOS in a while either, so I need to get back in there. Yeah, but this is let's go ahead and set that up actually. Put it on here so you can just kind of see how these little mechanics works on this tool. And I'm going to go to just below some of these bodies here. That'll put me at about 2.5%. And on this one, though, I will be targeting... Let me go to the daily. I will be targeting a retest of the exponential right there. All right? So that is roughly a 4.5 risk-to-reward ratio, which is lovely. That's what I like to do. And how I'd play these two is I will manage part of the trade when it gets up into the 25 to 50% range. On here, I'll take off 25 to 55%. And that could be like kind of what it's called, the 25 to 55% rule or something. 25-50 rule. Yeah, I'm actually building kind of like all my rules and stuff that I follow. And, you know, this has been actually really helping me do that, making these videos. On a side note, that is. Moving back to EOS, this looks like a great setup. There you go. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on later when we get off the show. Let's see. Let's go to XMR to see if it had any sell-off. Nope. No one cared. No one cared. Here's this trade setup we put on XMR on the 24th. Again, check the videos. They're time-stamped. We've just been chopping around this area. This trade has just been kind of chill. Especially for our target. Yeah, there's a couple little profit areas in there if you wanted to aggressively manage at the 144, the purple exponential right there. I'm totally cool with that. Again, you got to trade like whatever your style is and your personality type. You got to match it. But yeah, look at this, guys, though. We're getting bearish on the DMI. I don't like that. I don't like that. This trade might be scrapped, might not. We still got a lot of playroom right here. You see that? Oh, let me go out a little bit so I don't have to zoom so much. Jesus. Need to just move this box over. It doesn't need to be over that far. I'm not probably holding this trade until November. Unless it goes phenomenally well in like 2 days. Which can happen. Anything can happen in crypto. There is a pretty nice sine wave right here, if y'all see that. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Alright, so anyway, this trade is kind of just a scratch right now. It's only been on for a couple days. Got a couple times up there in profits. Mostly like a total scratch. Sometimes in losses, sometimes in profits. But you don't really need to consider this even in losses until you close it, remember? It's not a loss until you close it. It's also not a gain until you close it. That's more important. Because otherwise, I feel like if you say it's not a loss until you close it, you're almost like trapping yourself to be like, well, yeah, if I don't close it, it's not a loss. I'm just going to leave it open to 0, bro. Man, and I've done that before. So I know how that feels. It sucks, too, just looking at it. But now I look at it and kind of laugh. I'm like, oh, you silly MFer. How could you do that? Emotions is the answer, if you didn't know. And let's see, still leaving this one on, so nothing too... Monero did not give a shit about that news, and that's why I don't give a shit about the news. Don't care. I think it makes you a bad trader. And that's my opinion, of course, just like this whole show. But I don't know. I would love to hear thoughts on that. If there's anybody listening out there, chime in the chat. That'd be cool. Or if you're listening to this after the fact, leave a comment, man. I'm really... How much news do you trade off of it? Do you look at it every day? Do you really care about it? News is just entertainment, right? It's even called, like, what, infotainment or something like that? I don't know. I just think it's irrelevant. Like, to think that the news is going to know more than, like, not in crypto, but let's just say in all tradables and markets, is going to know more than trillions of dollars is very silly to me. All right. Let's go to Binance, because we haven't looked at Binance in a while. Let's see if it's still following its ugly rounded formation. And it sure is. We've been talking about that since we've been looking at Binance. Look at this ugly rounded formation. Blah. It's one of the worst formations ever. I do not like those. Now, can they fake you out? Of course they can. Any pattern can. Go look at equities in 2015 in the summer. The S&P and major markets had a pattern just like this, except without the this part. So just count it from, like, kind of right here. Had a pattern, a topping pattern just like this. Everybody was calling it. Everybody and their mom. And then it just broke out to the upside. And we haven't looked back since. And if you just want a reference, since it is super easy to pull up charts, let me go ahead and just show you, because I think it's definitely worthy. There you go. That is a really big one. I kind of accidentally drew that. That was funny. I was trying to drag the chart over. All right, here you go. Rounded top formation, right? Everybody's like, oh, see, I told you. Because this one and this one, it's going to zero, man. It's broken. Armageddon in the markets, you know. Trump might run. It's scary. No, they weren't talking about that then, but I just make a joke. But yeah, you see this? Everybody was bearish too, and then it just busted through it, came back, tapped it, and then if you zoom out, this bitch has not looked back since then. Not even a little bit. I mean, what is that in percent-wise? About 44%. It's a big number in traditional equities. 44%. You know, the average, the benchmark kind of is the S&P, and they, you know, 6% a year is considered like good, and then like anything like 10 to 15% a year is considered like godlike. And they're like, how'd you do that? Which is really funny to me. I know people that make more than that like every month. It's pretty wild. It's like, oh yeah, that's what it is. All right, let's go back to these crypto charts though, to the BNB, and finish that boy up. So we are getting that kind of rounded formation right here. I only have BNB to pay for the fees for less, which is utility, right, for that. So a lot of people probably hold it for that. So it does have a floor at some point. But let's not forget that right here is 10 cents. This consolidation area is about $1. And then we're up here in the 8 to, let's say, $11 range. But yeah, not looking too hot. We break down below like 850, it's gonna be real ugly for Binance Coin. But I'll still always hold some, so I get cheaper trading fees, because why wouldn't you? Unless you're just not trading, I guess. But who does that? All right, let's go to Dash. Oh, not Dash, but just regular Dash. If you didn't know, Dash, it's a fork of Dash Coin. It's the new Bitcoin, actually. All right, so we talked about putting this little trade on, had a little bit of profits. It was close. You were about in that third range. You could have managed here a little bit. And given that we are in a bear market, it's good to take your longs off maybe a little more aggressive than you usually would. Just because, you know, the momentum is to the downside overall. But I usually don't like to overmanage though either. So you have to kind of like, again, that goes to your trading style. I like to go be out. I don't need to be sitting by the computer all the time more than I already do, watching charts. So I've been trying to scale out kind of my time frames. That's also why I don't even go below an hour, because I don't even need to do it. But as you can see here, we talked about this too in the other video, that when price likes to come around here, because we're all watching the same movie, a lot of people are looking here and be like, man, this could be like a good long. Okay, I'm going to do that too. And then people will get in, and then your trade will be right, and you'll be like, I'm a genius, and then it'll always come back, and not always, but a lot of the times it'll come back and like test, like right where you bought in. And if you've ever had like a position that was down, you bought something like 100, and then it goes down to like 50, and then it'll come back right up to like 90 to 95, like real close to 100, and then it'll roll back over. You'll think like, oh man, okay, I can salvage this and make like 5-10%, and then that bitch will roll over like right before that. Man, if I had $10 for every time that happened in a market, I wouldn't even have to trade at all. Even though I just like trading and it's fun as shit, but yeah, you know, just making a point there. Again, 4 hour, look at that, y'all, hitting that resistance on all these stacked moving averages. When you have a confluence of indicators in one price action area, do know that it is a lot stronger than just a single one, and don't just really trade off one single thing. If you did, it would be price, and that's it. And that one's really tough. I don't really know any people that just use only price on their chart with no moving averages. That would be pretty interesting to try to trade that way. Yeah, you can see here on all the stacked averages how price just magnetized around it, right? And so now we're under it though, and now it's becoming resistance. So that's definitely notable. So do be wary of that. But we're still break even on this at the moment today. So with the chance to take off some profits if you wanted to manage a little bit, but if you didn't, that's okay. And you're just back to even. You're just kind of like, whatever. Good old Dash. Dash has advertisement and marketing like I've seen on no other coin, bar none. I've seen Dash ads on like airplanes, like overseas flights, on the little screen behind, like in the one in front of you. It's like, what? I thought I was like tripping or something, or drank too many beers on the plane already. I'm like, does this say Dash? Holy crap. It does. That's pretty cool. Let's go look at Dogecoin. We haven't looked at that in a couple days, or maybe about a week. Wow, look at that. Consolidating. Not looking too shabby. Neutral on the daily. Bears are still pretty weak. And I say that because they are below this middle horizontal right here. And that is in the bottom right of the screen, if you can't see. There you go. Do a little highlighting action. They are below there, but the bears, or the bulls, are actually back in the neutral zone. So it's only slightly bullish. 4 hour is super neutral, super neutral. And the 1 hour, wow, whoa, this is pretty weird. So this rarely happens. Like when we talk about both the DMIs being on the top in the power zone, both DMIs are in the super weak zone, like the forgotten zone, maybe that's what I'll call it, the forgotten zone. And it, like, wow, yeah, I don't know if I've seen that. Maybe it's because it's Doge and the prices or something, but yeah, that's definitely rare. But even in Doge and the recent moves, you know, that doesn't happen. I guess you have some back here when it's just totally choppy, boring for, you know, weeks and weeks and weeks, moving like 3 Satoshis. But yeah, interesting. So no one, it's like incredibly neutral. I guess the only thing you could say it's slightly bullish is just because price action is hanging out up here above the 21 exponential. That's the only thing. So Dogecoin bullish above 80, y'all. That's about it. And do be wary that when you're taking trades on Dogecoin, that every Satoshi matters, since it is sub 100. You know, each one of those is at least a % or so. So be careful there, and do just be aware of that too with slippage. Pretty much there's always one Satoshi spread on that at any given time. So just do be aware of that on the Dogecoin. So neutral as hell, except for the daily being above the 21 exponential and defending it fairly well. Bulls are defending that pretty good. But you do have overhead resistance printing right here in the, let's just call it like 90s. We don't have to get too specific. Again, this is art, y'all. This is not a science. All right. Let's do You know what we didn't do is look at the main chart, but that's okay. We're not going to do that anyway. Screw it. I usually look at like the long or the list of all the big movers today. But let's go look at Cardano. We're going to do Cardano dollar. Where is it? There it is. Bittrex. Yeah, Binance usually doesn't have that much data. Apparently, Bittrex does not either. So, all right, Binance it is. Oh gosh, looks death. Not hot at all. We do have some volume though coming in over here, so that's a good sign. That's nice. And price is on the triple exponential, which are these blue dots. I highly encourage y'all to check that out as an indicator. It is really cool. They behave way different than any standard moving average that I've ever used. Yeah, like this moving average here is a lot longer than the orange and the yellow, and look where it's printing. So if that gives you kind of an idea. But anyway, it's real good for supports and overhead resistance, like mapping it. Kind of like parabolic SAR is, if you've ever used that. Kind of reminds me of that. But looking pretty decent right here. Kind of coming back to, that is not, is that the all-time low? Yeah, I guess it is. This is Binance. I'm not sure if they have the data all the way back. But anyway, kind of just coming here to the make it or break it zone. You know, this is like late 2014 and early 15 where all the coins were just kind of pumping at the last part of the, you know, bear market. And things that went down 80, 90%, y'all, they went down like 80% more. Like, people forget that. Just because if you have something that goes down 90%, that doesn't mean that there's only 10% more downside risk. I almost feel like people think that, but no, it can drop from $1 or $10 to $1, and you're 90% loss, and then it can go to $1 to 10 cents, which is another 90% loss. Gosh, you do that, you're pretty much screwed. And as I discussed earlier, I have done that. So this isn't like a terrible area for a possible long. Let's look at it on a dollar, though. Oh, man, it's only 6 cents. Yeah, these are like playing penny stocks, y'all. This is real dangerous. I don't recommend really trading some of these just because they move so much, and the small price tricks people. They think that, you know, oh, it's cheap, so yeah, it is cheap, but then remember too, when it goes down fractions of pennies, that's like actually money and it matters, you know? I think people kind of overlook that and get tricked by just, it's cheap and the number's low. So, just food for thought there. All right, let's go over to, what was it? I wanted to look at ETC before we go over to equities. So ETC is not looking too hot right now. It is kind of, it's gone neutral on the 4-hour. It's trying to get bearish on the daily. It's real close. And it is neutral on the 1-hour. So that's that's pretty wild. That's for a coin that's a little bit more traded, I feel like. That's okay. Oh, excuse me. Let's see here. Yeah, 618 is kind of where we're pinging off here, this 1080 area. I'll let this trade go because I have been long on this for a little bit. I'm going to let this trade go below probably 10 bucks. And I'm out of there. I just have a I guess a feeling, which is bad, huh? And you shouldn't trade on those, so I'll probably lose this one. Yeah, I know you should never trade on feelings, by the way. But I just usually ETC kind of follows the market a little bit better than it did, and maybe I should have just managed it a little bit more aggressively over here knowing that. But hey, I was kind of playing this one for a bit longer, and my target's up into this this red area, the red, what is that, moving average, I'm sorry. Moving average, reading something else. The red moving average and the trend line. So, but we are neutral on the 4-hour, barely neutral on the daily, neutral on, so it's just neutral across the board. That's why I'm just using price right here. About 10 bucks is going to stop me out of this. So that's a little update on that trade. It's not really in the hole or anything. It's just kind of being boring and choppy and lame. All right, let's go over to equities because we did have the rate hike today. So if we zoom in on just kind of today, you can see that it was all cool, not really, just kind of boring, little sell, nice pump, and then a huge dump. And huge, you're like, dude, that's nothing. That's 36 to, that's like 30 points. Well, if you think that there's a lot of leverage in crypto and BitMEX, then you've never traded options and futures in traditional markets, because the leverage in there is pretty damn mind-blowing, I will say. I've lost money faster in futures because of the leverage than I have in crypto. It's like every penny or every 25 cents that this index moves is $12.50 equivalent. And it moves like, 5-10 points all the time. So like, yeah, this dump right here, you can do some math there. That hurt some people. But look where we're finding support though. Right at our lovely long-term 377. Now, that's kind of the line in the sand right now. I've been talking about being bullish on the markets and buying dips. I was not around my computer when this happened. Unfortunately, I had an incident at my business here in town that I had to abruptly leave for. And of course, stuff like that always happens when the good opportunities are there. I definitely would have sold some puts on this because we are coming right up on the 21 exponential, which it's been riding since the summer. So that's kind of like my line in the sand too, as we've been discussing. And ultimately, the previous highs back here of about 28.75. So the rate hike happened. It was a 98.9% chance of happening. I mean, see, again, there's the news. Market priced it in officially. They actually have Fed fund futures rate that try to predict that at the CME. So, like, you can't beat the trillions of dollars, guys. I'm sorry. You just can't do it. At least I definitely couldn't do it. I've never seen anyone do it. I tried. Unsuccessfully. Like Bernard Baruch says, show me the charts and I'll tell you the news. It's funny, I've been seeing that going around the Twitters a lot more lately. And just, oh man, word gets around so fast, doesn't it? So yeah, still looking bullish to me. 3-day. Still looking bullish. Weekly. Just ever so slightly bullish. But it is bullish still. On the 1 hour, we did get bearish back over here. And that was yesterday morning. Early. I guess it was mid-morning, about 10 o'clock. We got a short signal. It was like, hey, you might want to think about getting some short action here. And it didn't get bullish even in this little pump here. Because this wick, I mean, that's a pretty good sign there. If you see that. It's probably visible on there, I hope. I keep covering up. But yeah, this wick that's right here. Totally rejected. That is like a super shooting star right there. Literally next wick. Death. So, yeah, this was pretty bearish back over here. And actually, has been bearish since over here on this initial sell-off. I just now noticed that. I'm sorry. Because the bulls did not get back into the power zone. So bears maintain control by default on that. And I will make a way more detailed video on how I use this. Because I know probably some of this doesn't make any sense. Because I'm trying to explain it like as I'm reading it. And I got the basics out and the lines. But there are a couple like other things like that one I just said. When price gets over it and closes it for 2 or 3. Then that momentum is stuck there until the bulls can get into that range. Even if they come close and even if the bears get weak, that means they just got a little bit neutral, but they're still in control. Especially when you have price on DMI in the weak zone. All right. So, again, I will make a video on that in more depth in the video on that in the future. Man, I can't talk today. Jesus. Yeah, so this is still looking pretty good. I like the ES. That kind of sucks, but hey, emergencies happen when you're the boss and own your own business. You know, you got to do that. I bet the premium got real nice and fat at the end of this day in this candle, though, for selling some options. All right, let's go to the Nasdaq, see if it was playing with it. Oh yeah, sure was. It sure was. Not given the same clean short signal like the SP 500 was. There's actually long signals back in here on the hourly, and then they got negated just for a second, then got long again, and then now, dudes, this is super neutral. So of course, all indicators will do this, and especially when you're on lower time frames. But yeah, I mean, on Fed days, sometimes, you know, it's best to just not even trade these days. Just step away. Go do something fun. Screw it. Come back the next day. The market is not going anywhere. Opportunity is infinite. Your capital is finite. Never forget that. And then your emotional capital is not finite. Is finite as well, and way harder to replenish. It's kind of easy to go maybe make, you know, some more money, put it into your account, but like regaining your composure after a bad emotional trade or taking a big loss or getting a big win, that's the hard part in trading. Making nice sine waves here, just like trading should be doing, you know, and that you can get granular with that. It's all here. But having massive resistance. We're still bullish on the 4-hour though, and neutral on the daily. I'm still bullish on this market. And I'm taking mostly of a price action approach to this, and also ratcheting up this trend line along with my moving averages. I don't have anything here in how I read charts that's telling me that this is super bearish yet. It's showing a little bit of neutralness, but there's not bearishness yet. Now, yes, of course, that could happen real fast, just like these do. These happen in a couple weeks. But don't forget, though, they don't just usually happen out of nowhere. Look, this like a whole week went by before it kept going down. Same here, you know. And so we'll be seeing that before it kind of rolls over. And one thing to note, if you use that TMA, like I said, you got these blue dots here. You didn't get them on this one, but you did get them on this one and this one. Of course, we don't have them yet here. They're kind of hidden behind the bars. You can't see them, because we are just chopping in a super tight range. Everybody was just waiting for the Fed meeting to just get it out of the way. You usually see kind of cooled up action like this. One kind of pattern that is kind of here is this little triangle, and that apex is the beginning of October. So I'm still long until we break on, let's see, Nasdaq, until we break probably 7,400. I can't remember where I have my stop set already, but it's around there. It's around 74, because I keep ratcheting it up whenever these kind of keep going up. And usually I just sell premium anyway. Usually I only go static every once in a while. But when you sell options, y'all have to learn how to do it. It can be risky, just like trading, but it can remove so much risk. It's mind-blowing. And it's funny that everybody talks about how it's like the most risky thing to do, especially selling premium or writing premium. People also say that, like older school guys and more professionals will usually call it writing premium. But yeah, it's really funny. In the retail space, they don't like to discuss that. They're like, oh, that's bad. Don't you sell no premium out there. You'll get wrecked. It's like, well, the truth is you'll probably get wrecked anyway. It's a little secret. They don't tell you that part, though, right? And plus, you know, it's not static, since when you sell premium, you also get theta. And I will talk about options more in the future. But, you know, it's only an hour or so a day. Can't talk about everything. But yeah, so it gives you a little cushion. You don't have to be literally like right after that. So that's pretty awesome. Yeah, so still bullish on the NQ. Let's go over to the Dow Jones. It's selling off a little bit harder than I definitely expected from here. We were talking about it catching up to get all-time highs. And I was looking for like the article of like, oh, everything's at all-time highs. And it did. It got there. The only one I think was missing was the Russell. It was one of the major indices was missing. So that's kind of funny. And we're having a little liquidation break. This is not like a panic sell-off. This is just a liquidation break. If it's above the 21 exponential, that's all it is. It's nothing else. You don't even have to overthink it. That's it. And then if it goes to the 55, it's just a little deeper one. Maybe there's a deeper run up. You know, this could easily go up to that here in the next, you know, next week sometime, and then the moving average will kind of be around here. Could totally do that. And I'm just making that up. I'm not saying it will happen. I don't know shit. Nobody knows where price is going. But just kind of explaining kind of where the 21 is just a general good trend follower, along with the 55 is like a nice little backup. Those are just like levels, right? Bullish, daily, still. 3-day, very bullish on the Dow. The Dow has an awesome chart. The only thing, to play devil's advocate, the only thing that's not great is clearly this high, and this high, and the DMI, and also RSI is significantly lower, right? That's the only thing. But that is mostly due to sideways consolidation most of this year after that big run up. So that isn't super irregular, as it went in the neutral zone almost this entire year. But the bulls are prevailing at this moment, and they are looking pretty damn good in my opinion. So bullish on the 3-day, bullish on the weekly, bullish on the daily, we already said that. Bullish on the 4-hour. And almost, we're about getting bearish here on the 1 hour. So the 1 hour, which is, you know, like kind of duh, is the only one that's given us a bearish signal. Longer time frames though, which is how you kind of, it's better to play these markets because they move slow. Is on the higher time frames, but this is giving us a little bit of weakness, showing us, but not a huge deal. Plus, it's after hours, so that price action isn't as important. Let's go to the Russell. You don't have as many people playing the game. Russell looks pretty bearish on the hourly. We are making new local lows too for the month of September. It was actually the Russell that didn't catch up. As y'all can see here, it tried. Here's the previous high. Here's the attempted to get to their high. That looks close of a 618, and it is. Failed breakout, immediately rejected through there. So the Russell was kind of being the canary in the general markets. Let's see here. Daily. Ooh, daily just closed below the 55. So that Russell is by far looking the weakest. Well, I don't even have my horizontals on here. Add those real quick. Yeah, it's still pretty neutral on the daily, but yeah, price action wise via moving averages is slightly bearish. I'm still not super bearish on this though. I'm more I would take a long position here over a short position, that's for sure. With a stop probably around 1650 or so. Right about where this purple exponential comes up to. Right around there. So I'll probably sell some IWM puts in the equivalent zone for that. And if you don't know what IWM is, it's just the ETF. It's like 1/10 of the size, and so that'll be here at the $164 level. All right, so that looks pretty good. Let's go over to oil. Oil is putting in a, damn, that is a wonky ass kind of type weird head and shoulders, sort of, like maybe, I don't know. That's probably stretching it. Like I said, I'm not a huge pattern guy. If you want to kind of see what I'm, I guess, attempting to look at, it's kind of like this. Yeah, I don't know. It looks pretty ugly. Let's just scrap that. The channel has been holding up very well for most of the year, actually the entire year, even into December a little bit of last year. And so let's look at just some price. And so this is looking pretty bullish. We've been very bullish. The charts have been very bullish on oil since we came back into the channel and then tested the bottom support of the channel and then continued upwards. If y'all do know and listen to my streams, I do have a premium strategy on this that is taking heat because it just has grown into short delta, which isn't a bad thing. That happens sometimes. So yeah, but this has definitely been bullish. The chart has been a bullish chart for sure. And just to clarify, I didn't like when you trade a strangle, that strategy, it's a delta neutral strangle. You're not even taking a price position for it to go up or down. You're playing a range. So let's say you want it to stay in between. When I put it on, it needed to stay in between 60 and 70 roughly, and it broke right outside the range a little bit, so I'm taking some of the heat for that. But if it comes back into the range just a little bit, that's all good. And as oil, as you can see, moves like a mofo, it most of the time will. So there is looking like some potential, though, for this guy to try to pop up back into the middle of this channel. Let's see what the 4 hour is telling us. Well, no, the 4 hour says this momentum has been lost, actually. Yeah, we do have divergence on the DMI here. Pretty clear. It's on the... It's not really on the RS... Oh, yeah, it is. Just ever so slightly. It's just not as clear on the RSI. It's a lot more clear on the DMI. And we're printing hardcore resistance on the TEMA, which is about 72.50. So I will manage that trade. If we blow past 73, I will roll up some puts. How about on the hourly? Man, the hourly, the last few hours has just been ramping up about a, what is that, about a buck? Not quite a buck, about 80 cents from those lows. Still neutral on the hourly, although it could go bullish on the hourly here in the next few hours. That's definitely a possibility. But neutral on the hourly, neutral on the daily, and it just got back into neutral, or neutral on the 4 hour, and it just got back to neutral on the daily too. So kind of interesting. Oil is being kind of funky. I guess everybody's confused since Saudi Aramco IPO didn't go down this year. Oh dang! Everyone thought oil was going to go back up to like $100. I definitely thought it was going to go a little higher than that, but the charts, what the hell does it matter what I thought? The charts are kind of telling us, well, no, looks like we're going to make a range of 60 to 75 for now. So let's go to gold. Everybody loves gold. If you ever held it, it feels pretty crazy. It's like it has like this just certain feel, even like a rock or other metals, silver, palladium, platinum, they don't feel the same way as gold. I can definitely see why people got attracted to it. Faux show. Ugly pattern, don't like it. We haven't liked it for a while, although we have gotten a little consolidation here, so that's good. Just hovering right on top of this 21 exponential, and the bears have gone neutral on the indicators, on the internals, so that's good. And they were beast mode, you know, back over here in the summer. Summer's traditionally weak for precious metals too, so not a huge surprise. Pretty damn neutral on the 4 hour, maybe slightly bear. Neutral. It's not. The 1 hour is just going to make it all neutral. How about the 3 day? 3 day is getting, the bears are wearing off on the 3 day, but on the weekly they're still intact, and just ever so slightly. So this, again, since oscillators lie sometimes it's best to just look at some price and basic price averages, like any type of moving average. And right now, this is telling me we are just getting ready to come out of this box, whenever that might be. And I'm not exactly sure where that is. I am scaling into long positions over the next couple of years for metals. I do think there is a big run-up coming in the near-ish future. It might even take up to like 4 years, but it's going to be one of these monster rallies where they like rip your face off. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, let me zoom out on gold. Oh, I have to go to the futures. Hold on. That doesn't have enough data. Yeah, let's go back to the 70s when this contract came out. And as you can see, this is a monthly chart. Super massive dump, right? And the mid-late 70s, and then the super late 70s, it went from $100 to about $800, and it did that in the span of about 2.5 years. So that's what I'm kind of looking for, is one of these super cycles. And if you don't know about commodities, you can research those, but they basically happen roughly, I believe, every about 30 years. Pretty interesting stuff. So we might have a little bit longer, but who knows? I'm playing the about 2 to 5 year game. I think after the markets kind of rally hard and the dollar gets strong, it's going to put the final pressure on gold, just like it did back here in the late 90s. This is pretty much all from that. And you can see how it based and then went from $250 to about $1,900. In a sense, from there, just kind of pooped out pretty hard. It's about 50% down. So ultimately, I'm bearish on gold, but I do know that I am playing bounces in the short term, and in the long term picture, I do like the idea of scaling in small, though, very small, because gold moves, especially if you trade like GDX, which is the gold miners, and they have options on there too, which is nice. So yeah, that stuff can get violent. If you've ever traded junior miners, you know what I'm talking about. All right. Final thoughts with the Bitcoin. We're going to jump over to shorts real fast just to see what's cracking. Not on the daily or on the monthly, because that's not going to show us shit. All right, yeah, here you go. Selling off. The shorts are coming off finally after teeter-tottering up here for a hot minute. I thought they might have the potential to bust out, but seems that 40K is the magic number here. So we're having a retracement in the shorts. Let's go to price. Again, kind of the same deal. Looks like action is attempting to get bought up here a little bit. We're up roughly about 50 bucks since I started doing the show. And looks like we're coming up to test this hardcore support area. And it looks like almost that even has a stack of a 6182. Yes, it does. So, 6,500 hardcore resistance with the ultimate resistance. Obviously, it's 66, which we all know. It's really, really obvious, I think, at this point. How could it not be when we've been in this box range for way too goddamn long? Again, price is just consolidating right here, waiting for this great, amazing ETF news. For the moon news. Or the gutter news. I'm not sure which one. But this chart isn't looking super terrible. But I can't get really bullish on the BTC. I'm just taking like a small little position here. A little tiny position. Just to play a little bit. And on the long side. Just because, you know, the risk to reward right here is, I think, favors the longs. As we've talked about. Especially on these deeper sell-offs. That it kind of favors the long. So if you get long here, or like in here, and even over here, I mean, your ultimate stop, as y'all know, if I pull this chart back out a little bit, is this red hashed line of about 5,500, which is kind of the bottom of this consolidation. You know, that's like your ultimate line in the sand. And if you don't over leverage yourself, I mean, let's say you're in the middle of this range, I mean, you know, that's only 15% from here. So in a 15% downside with, if it goes up from here, I mean, you're talking it's going at least to, you know, this red box to test it, and possibly into like the 10K range. That's actually what I'm really looking for, is something to pop up, get excited to get us up there, and then roll over for the actual sell-off. There's just a lot of people like preaching about 3K right now, which is funny because even like a couple months ago it wasn't that bad, but now it's like everybody wants to talk about that. It's all good. I'm just waiting for the price to tell me. So, speaking of price, bam, neutral, 4 hour, neutral, daily, neutral, 1 hour. So fun, I know. But hey, I'm not making this up. This is just what I'm reading. All right? So with that said, if you liked anything on here, please sub, bell, and smash. Check out my other content. I do videos daily, and I do all of them live. I'm trying to set up in my schedule to where I do them at the same time live, so people can maybe schedule around that a little bit, but that is in the works. But again, this is No Noise Research, and I am Z-Rex, signing off. See y'all mañana. Peace.